I have been joined by Gabriella Tetteh, who's a National Communications Team member of the NDC. Good morning, Gabriella.
Good morning.
How are you?
Good, thank you.
It's always a pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you. Always a pleasure to be here.
I also have Amma Frimpong. It's our first time having her this year. It's a Government Communications Team member. Good morning, Amma.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year, Gabi.
How are you?
Not too bad. Not too bad.
How has your year been so far?
So far, so good. It's my mom's birthday today, so we're all excited.
Okay. So it's an order of the day. Go ahead.
No. It's just...
You won't wish your mom. It's your mom's birthday. You usually wish every other person there.
I called her and she prayed for me. It's the other way around. So I'm basking in her glory this morning. So happy birthday, Mom.
Happy birthday, Mama Amma Frimpong. Let's take a look at our first story. A sad one or a good one for those who have been looking for prosecuting the people responsible for the banking sector crisis. So I'm reading from page 16 of the Daily Graphic, and it says here, Amma Frimpong charged with stealing money laundering. So Prince Kofi Amma and Michael Nyinaku, the founders of two collapsed banks, have been charged for allegedly stealing more than 390 million Ghana cedis and more than $8.6 million belonging to customers of their respective banks. Amma Frimpong, the founder of the defunct UT Bank, is accused of stealing about 51.3 million Ghana cedis and $8.6 million, while Nyinaku, the founder of the defunct Beige Bank, is accused of stealing more than 340 million Ghana cedis. Now, the two of them appeared before court. Amma Frimpong was granted on bail 110 million Ghana cedis, but Mr. Nyinaku was remanded. So, Amma, let me start with you on this, because we also read on the headlines that the president saying that the people responsible for the banking sector crisis will be finally prosecuted. Is this the start to that?
Good morning again, and sorry. One thing that a lot of people have been asking is that, yes, we've all seen the government work to ensure that people's funds are secured, but what caused this? Mm-hmm. Why did we get to a point where government had to intervene? What happened? So a lot has been going back and forth. We've heard people saying, well, the people that were responsible are responsible for this mess. What's going to happen to them? Mm-hmm. Yesterday, we all saw what happened. We read about it. These are not the only people that have been involved in it. It's a whole lot of people along the chain. I, for one, am happy that it started. Another thing that I would like to see moving forward is not just the owners of the defunct banks alone, but people who were supposed to regulate. They had regulators. We've had, there was a case where it went to court, and I think there was a gentleman from the Bank of Ghana who was aiding. What happened to him? Yeah. We heard about it during the investigations. Is it just that because it's been said and then he's left off the hook? So there are stages that's been going on, and we would like to see more. The president has given the assurance. I'm confident that moving on, we'll see more prosecutions going on. At the end of the day, nobody can convince me as I sit here that something didn't go wrong. So we know courts and lawyers and big grammar here and there, adjournments today, here and there, and all that. We would like to get to the bottom of it. People that have their monies logged in are not only expecting to get the money, they're expecting to see that the people they entrusted with their money are also held responsible. It goes from banks to FSLs to savings and loans and all that. I was reading something on my way here where Mr. Nyinaku had bought, or he had acquired shares in First Allied Savings and Loans. It took Mrs. Afenidazi to realize that some monies that had been paid, he'd also opened a different account and put them in. I mean, these are all maybe
allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly.
Alleged.
Yeah, it's alleged. These are all things that maybe in the financial systems, we don't even know how it works. So now that they are in court, they also have their day. I mean, to allege does not mean that they are guilty. So they are in court. They also have their day. The judges and the prosecutors are also going to read or listen to both sides, and we'll get to the bottom of it. I would like to say that yes, this is a good step, but there are others that are behind. We heard of Capital Bank as well. When the case came, they were the top 3 that were mentioned. I know that they had been sent to court. What happened with that case? Sometimes, this one comes in a week, everyone talks about it, and then next week it's gone, and then maybe 6 months later it's raised again. So, dear judiciary, we know that you have your own set of rules, but people are also expecting results. People have followed this case for a long while. Let's get some clarity. Let's get some closure. And if, yes, some people are found culpable of stealing the money, they should be made to face the law.
Okay, thank you. Gabriella.
Good morning once again.
Good morning.
Amma. Nice seeing you.
Nice meeting
again. I'd like to extend my deep sympathies to the families of those who lost lives in the accident, a very gory accident. And I pray and hope that the road safety and the MTTU will up their game in enforcing road safety regulations on the roads. Because of the Harmattan season, air traffic from Takoradi to Accra has slowed because they're not allowing the aircraft to fly because of the poor visibility. So there's a lot more traffic on the road at the moment. So I expect that MTTU should please do something about it so that we don't record these things again. Now, the financial sector cleanup. It's been a very expensive
cleanup
reforms that have been instituted by the Bank of Ghana. I mean, the first tranche was about 15 billion, and then the second is about 7 billion already. We're hitting almost 23 billion. That's a lot of money that could have done tremendous things for this country. Why did it happen? Because, one, some of the financial institutions were not capitalized adequately. Some of them had terrible debts on their books that were running them down. Some of them were already run down and were just hanging in there. Some of them because of insider tradings. And this is one clear case of insider dealings that has brought these two gentlemen to where they are at the moment. And because they are Ghanaian entrepreneurs, some of them were like pioneers in the sector. Someone like Prince Amwabing. So he's greatly admired. He has a lot of admirers in Ghanaian society. You don't wish bad for people, but it happens that sometimes our own decisions brings us into situations where we just have to deal with it as it comes. Now, when this issue happened, there's no point in going to other reforms. I mean, the Bank of Ghana made the universal banks increase their minimum capital. They've shored up their reserves. They've reformed their corporate structures. Their reporting mechanisms have been improved. Even with the Bank of Ghana itself, supervision has also, they've done some work on their own selves also in the institution of Bank of Ghana to improve on supervision, banking supervision. Now the harm has already been caused. What happened? Depositors' funds, ordinary savings, everybody, petty traders, teachers, lawyers, that were put in these banks. Unfortunately, shareholders, seeing that they had access to a pool of money, decide to take those monies, invest it in their own private businesses to push their businesses. That is illegal, But unfortunately, I don't know why, whether Bank of Ghana or the auditors that were auditing these banks did not raise the red flags so they could be flagged and not allowed to go on. Similar thing happened to GN as well.
But shouldn't the regulators be held accountable just as much as these two?
Beyond the regulators,
if someone
because
had held
as
them
she said,
accountable early enough, it wouldn't have gone the way
it
it
did.
did.
It's a chain. So there's the management of the bank, the workers and the staff and management of the banks.
The auditors.
There's the shareholders of the banks. There's the external auditors of the bank. Then there's a central bank All right. There were players all along this chain, as she said. That's, I don't want to say they don't do their work because you don't know what
but claiming
considerations
we
we
didn't see any drastic change until Dr. Addison came in. So what were all those people doing that this thing came to a point where we are now discussing 390 million Ghana cedis and $8.6 million?
Sorry, Dziffa, but you remember that some of them, they had seen it prior because some of them had funds shored into them. The bank, the central bank or the regulators had noticed that they were in distress and they had monies that had been given to them. They still managed to allegedly siphon these funds that were meant to help them show up. So it wasn't that they hadn't noticed. Someone had noticed and there had been a stopgap or a measure to help them. We know in the case of one of them that at some point when they were in distress, the central bank
offered to assist.
And
my question to Gabriella is, and I'll come to you, Amma. If someone had caught on in the early days, because it seems as though one banker will do what he needs to do. If he gets away with it, then the others will also do it. They all knew what they were doing was wrong, but no one was holding them accountable. Who are those people and why aren't we holding them accountable right now?
We're holding them accountable. This is the start. Getting the shareholders of those banks and the management of those banks to face the law. That's the first step. Eventually, all the other players will be called in either as witnesses or new, I'm not a lawyer, but primary what? Primary facie will be established if it exists. And then they're also brought to court. At the time, you see, what I think really happened was that we had a central bank supervision department that was not adequately prepared for the number of financial institutions that it had to regulate and monitor. That's what I think. Secondly, we had a central bank whose, at the time, approach was not this radical, inquisitive approach of finding out what really is going on and then this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. All these are very hard reforms, harsh reforms. That's why at the time, for those that needed liquidity support, they were given liquidity support to show up those banks. Those were monies lent from Bank of Ghana to them. So it's loaned to them.
And they still did what they wanted.
So if they did what they did, because it is an illegality, Bank of Ghana then has to take whoever took responsibility. I don't want to mention names. But in the case of Capital Bank, for example, that case is very interesting because I think that one is clear
who it was,
what money moved where and what they did with the money. In these two instances, Beige and UT Bank, the insider dealings were more of depositors' funds that were being used to run their own private businesses.
Yes, so let me even read some here. So the case against Amwabing says the prosecutor has accused Amwabing of using defunct UT Bank to invite people to invest with the bank, but failed to credit the investor's account and rather transferred the money to UT Holdings, the parent company of the defunct bank. It was also revealed that Prince Kofi Amwabing, the then CEO of UT Bank, signed most of the customers' investments certificates and subsequently transferred to UT Holdings. So when it comes to, so I'll go again. ASP Nyameche, the said transaction was part of the report of the audit firm. So this is Pricewaterhouse. And they also made a case that 51.33 million Ghana cedis and $8.61 million were transferred from UT Bank to UT Holdings. So this is something that he was not supposed to do. But when at the time it happened, did anybody catch it enough for him to also know that what you are doing is...
the job of the external auditors. But so far, in the narrative of the whole financial sector cleanup, it's the same external auditor operatives that are acting as receivers. You see. So, as much as... This is a very difficult topic to really discuss for me because it's a very complex matter. As much as we are chasing after reforms, we are chasing after getting people who have been who have acted wrongly to be... Question is, what do we do about the auditing also? Because what did they cover up? And these are the ones whose reports go to Bank of Ghana to counter what the banks themselves are also reporting.
I think Unibank came out to say something about this whole auditor situation.
You see? So it's a very complicated matter. I am not a typical finance person. I just happen to have worked in a place where I have access to some of this knowledge. But when the microfinance issue started in 2015, 2016, there was this typical case in Kaso. I forgot the name of the microfinance. And I learned something about with that microfinance, like a case study. What happened was there was a media report that the company was running out of funds. So customers started trooping to the microfinance to go and withdraw their cash. Now, you know that this financial thing is deposits and withdrawals. So there always has to be a balance, else you run into challenges. Now, that media reportage created panic in the system, and the people started withdrawing. So the Bank of Ghana had to come in, this same supervisory division had to come in and shore up that microfinance so that they could meet the obligations of their depositors, so that they could try and keep the microfinance. It wasn't a weak institution. It just happened that some information that was relayed caused a certain reaction in the market that worked against that institution. Within these financial sector reforms, when the process started, I think that the way we handled information in the beginning, one, caused some of these shocks to the sector. The minimum capital requirements were a bit steep for some of the local banks. UT's argument, I listened to Kofi Amwa being interviewed on TV3 sometime.
Yes, and I actually have it here.
You want to read it out?
Yes, I can read it out for us. So he says here, the government found us in that situation, but was this the best route to take? Because we had investors who were ready with some proposals. They, that's the government, decided that the best thing is to close down UT Bank. And I find it really difficult to take from where they are sitting. They decide that that was the best thing for the country. I don't bear grudges, but the point is, if as UT Bank we owed 800 million Ghana cedis and an investor comes and he says, I'm ready to pay 400 million, so the Bank of Ghana writes off the other 400 million. But BOG takes a decision to close down the bank, which will cost the nation at least 2.2 billion Ghana cedis. It doesn't make sense to me. So the typical example case I just gave you of the microfinance institution, the consideration was that the company was not in insolvency. It was a solvent company. But information within the market space was what had triggered that reaction. So the strategy was not to force the collapse of the institution, but rather shore it, get it balanced, and then continue to operate. I don't know if it's still operating at the moment because I haven't kept track of all these institutions yet. But I can't excuse insider dealings. It's
what is wrong is wrong.
Not be solvent. Another thing to be doing the wrong thing.
Exactly. So with these two, as the case progresses and they go to court and information keeps coming out, we'll be better abreast with what the real issues are. Because there are a lot of things that we are not privy to. So we can't jump to conclusions. And everybody's innocent until they're proven guilty. We just have to wait and see how it pans out. But beyond prosecuting shareholders who took advantage of depositors' funds, we need to look at the management of those institutions. We need to look at the auditors and the reporting of the auditors. And if there are also any cover-ups in those dealings, all those things have to be exposed. Because we want to build a robust financial sector. That's the whole purpose of this expensive cleanup. Because we can't wait and then 10 years we are faced with the same issue again. You know, so really it's it's an interesting subject.
Yes. Well, I'll get your response, but we do have to go for a quick break. This is still Breakfast Daily on Citi TV. Thank you so much for staying with us. If you want us to hear from you, don't forget that the hashtag is Breakfast Daily and the WhatsApp line is 05505858832. We'll be right back. Welcome back. It's still Breakfast Daily on Citi TV. Thank you so much for staying with us. And of course, if you want us to hear from you, the hashtag is Breakfast Daily and the WhatsApp line is 05505858832. Before the break, we were discussing the bosses of Beige Bank and UT Bank going to court yesterday. The Beige Bank boss has been remanded and the UT Bank boss is on bail for 110 million Ghana cedis. And Amma, I was asking you to wrap up on this for us and lessons that entrepreneurs can learn from their experiences.
I think one of the main things is that we are hoping and we are very hopeful that with all these measures and new guidelines that have come up, we won't, like Gabi said, we won't go back 10 years down the line. We are not going to experience it. Another thing is that a lot of people have their monies locked up. Yeah. And they are very, I don't know the word to use.
Livelihood.
Yes, a lot of people's livelihood. People
add up.
Yes, people have said. People have come up. We know that we all know one or two people whose monies have been locked up. The government has assured all of them that no matter what's going on with people, if their monies, because they were under a regulator, and the regulator has a responsibility to ensure that nobody's money locks up forever. So I know it's easier said than done, telling people to please exercise patience. But I believe that at the end of the day, people whose monies have been locked up will get their monies back so that they can invest properly somewhere else or use it for the purpose that they saved it. And also moving forward, my main problem is that, yes, we are happy to know that prosecutions have started, but the people who had oversight responsibility, one or two people must have noticed this. Did they just sit back and allow it to go? Because at the end of the day, and also all these banks have internal auditors. So I'm sure the internal auditors bring their books to the external auditors and then it goes on. So the internal auditors, were they part of a plan to cover up? Did they know this? Because it's math, isn't it? So yes, I mean, you'd notice that
numbers don't lie.
Numbers don't lie, that's the word. So all these people, we need to know, but as it's going on now, we'll get to the bottom of it. People are going to come out and they are going to call other witnesses and everybody is going to know what's going on. They should kindly speed up the process so that we all get to the closure that we need. And also the assurance that depositors will get their monies back. I'm hopeful of that and I'm confident that moving on, we are not going to experience or witness such magnitudes in the country.
Now, Gabriella, I just want you to touch on entrepreneurs, lessons we can learn from this. We're in a country where laws are not enforced. So you're just doing things, you know nobody's going to enforce the law, but you don't know who is going to lead that regulator office in a few years, and all your actions today will be held, you'll be held accountable for it. So any word for that?
No, the lawyers keep saying that ignorance of the law is no excuse. There's regulation for a reason, because there has to be some orderliness and some standards in an industry that everybody has to attune themselves to, so we don't live in a chaotic society. Entrepreneurs, well, the lesson that we can all learn is that we have to know what regulations and what rules govern the sectors that we are operating in. And we have to make sure that we abide by those rules. Certain things we have to let ethics also govern us as individuals, because clearly, you know that in this case, for example, these monies are not yours. But just because you've been given the opportunity to hold it in custody, or a company of yours, an asset of yours, is holding these things in trust for people, it doesn't give you the right to just take and then do all kinds of projects with it. Because your assumption may be, as an entrepreneur, as a business person who wants to make money, that you invest it in this thing, you get a turnover in about 3-4 years. People are always putting money in there, so nobody will notice the imbalances. And before you know, where you go and put your money, that's why business is a risk. you will not get the benefit you assumed you will get, and then it comes back to you.
Okay.
So follow regulations and try to live ethical lives.
Thank you very much. Now, yesterday we had a results fair. The MPP had a results fair, and the president spoke at that fair. So I'm going to share what he said and then hear from both Amma and Gabriella on this one. So I'm reading from citinewsroom.com. The president says, "We've achieved a lot in 3 years. 4 more needed to do more." So President Dziffa Akua Ametam says his government has achieved a lot in the last 3 years. He believes Ghanaians will enjoy more benefits if he is given a second term in office. I'm going to quote him. "Having achieved all these significant milestones, even in the midst of the difficulties we met, I am hopeful that the Ghanaian people would reward my party with another resounding victory in 2020. We will not be complacent, and we will work hard for victory, regardless of the fact that one good term deserves another. We need 4 more years to do more." So the story goes on and on. The president talks about the economy they inherited in 2019, the GDP growth rate of 3.6%, deficit of 9.3%, inflation of 15.4%, and weak external reserves position. You know, he also goes on to talk about the banking sector and how they've really worked to solve all of these issues. He mentioned planting for food and jobs, 1 district, 1 factory, amongst others. So it seems as though the president is really, really satisfied with everything that MPP has achieved in the 3 years. He talks about the healthcare as well. Allowances of nurses and teacher trainees were scrapped by the Mahama government. They've been restored, and 307 ambulances are going to come soon, come January 28th. He talks about NAPCO and employment, amongst other things, 1 village, 1 dam. The list is endless. So the president says NPP has achieved a lot in 3 years. So they need 4 more to do more. Amma, I think I should start with you on this one. But a results fair, I've never heard of such a thing. Do we need a results fair?
Well, we do need a results fair.
Why?
Because day in and day out, when I use myself as an example, if I come here and I talk to you, or I talk to viewers out there, and I say all the things, and you tell me, well, I'm still not seeing it. You are telling me all these things. If any of your reporters, yes, your reporters were there because Sanda was the moderator. We had stands, booths for MDAs, ministries, departments, and agencies. And in these booths, they had not just visual, they had audio visuals as well.
Yes, but Amma, we're used to maybe booklets. Maybe, since the vice president is a big fan of digital world,
there was digitization there.
You just put it online, but a 3-day fair to go over results.
Of course, yes. Okay. Because you're telling me that
it's yesterday, today, and tomorrow to go over the 3-year results of MPP.
It's there so that when you enter the AICC, this one is not book no lie matter. You are watching it there. There's what do you call it? So
if you're facing the roads, how do you? Okay,
if there's a bad road and your journalist goes on it, people are watching it.
So what would you see at the results fair?
You see the results of the MPP government in 3 years.
Okay.
What we've achieved, apart from just the president, not just the president talking about it. We had ministers and sector heads who were like, there were plenary sessions where they talked about their achievements, some challenges, and moving forward. Okay. We had the Minister for Food and Agriculture, who's done a lot in the agri sector. He talked about planting for food and jobs. He's talked about planting for export and rural development. It's not just about people seeing it. It also affects people's livelihoods. Okay. Because if you are a beneficiary of PFJ and someone comes to you and asks you, okay, so you've been part of this planting for food and jobs. What's been the success story, or what's been the challenges? I've had this previous years. I was able to cultivate a hectare of maize. Now I'm able to do 2 more hectares. What's been the results from 1V1D. Last week we've just been into. Last week we had stories coming out that some of the dams had dried up, and then the Ministry for Special Development actually went to sites and also did videos, and then they came out to explain that the parts where people have gone to and said the sites have dried up are dams that have not even been completed. They are at various stages. So if you go there and you see that this is what's happening, they put it on their website. Yesterday, Honorable Hawa and her team were there. They had pictures.
So you are thoroughly pleased with the...
Well, it's ongoing. Yes. I mean, I'll then treat everyone to pass by and have a look at the conference center and have a look. Like the president said, when you talk about inflation, we're able to sit and talk that, well, when we came into government, inflation was at A and now we've moved it down to B. We are able to say that we shored up the forest reserves. We're able to say this. It doesn't mean that everything has been done in the 3 years. That's why, after all is said and done, we are saying that give the NPP government 4 more years to do more, because we've proven ourselves that if you give us the opportunity, we are able to do it. We've done it. We are doing it. I can go on and go. We've had Sino Hydro project.
Let me allow Gabriella.
Oh, she won't agree with you.
Oh, so I'm not saying she won't. You never know. She might agree. So Gabriella,
miracles do happen.
Exactly. 3-day results fair for the 3 years of MPP's deliverables. Were you there yesterday, and will you go today and tomorrow?
Don't read to your viewers. You read this for your own consumption. I hope my screen doesn't go off.
Okay. So where is she reading from so that I can...
Okay, it says it has emerged and been confirmed that there is no dam as yet in Bulsa South District. So what are the intentions of the Ministry for Special Development for putting out this picture? Okay, so there's a picture here with a logo and everything else.
Okay,
that's on their website.
It's on their website.
And that's where they claim their dam is.
But were you there yesterday?
No, I wasn't. I actually wanted to go.
So
I'll
we have live reports here.
I'll talk to you as well. But let's let Gabriella respond to the 3-day results fair of the 3-year NPP government so far.
What's the difference between this fair and the policy fair? Amma?
National policy summits, you mean?
Yes.
The ones that we do. National policy summits are also tailored for specific programs that the government came into place and said. So let's say we had one last year where the Minister for Fisheries, she talked about the closed season. It was a policy that the ministry had initiated.
But what's the difference between that and this one? The results fair and the
policy? This is a broader one. This is a
but
broader
the policy
one.
fair has always been a broader one. The policy fair was initiated in 2013.
Okay, was that a rhetorical question?
It was.
Okay,
the policy
fairs
are specific targets. This is a broader one. This is all MDAs.
That is exactly what the policy fair of the NDC was supposed to do.
I will come back to Amma.
That's why I asked you what is the difference.
You just renamed it.
That's the
NDC. So it is
so
Breakfast Daily on Citi TV.
You renamed it.
Let us hear your thoughts with the hashtag Breakfast Daily.
The
WhatsApp line is 05505858832. Gabriella, you are going to talk, and then Amma will respond when you are done talking. So please go ahead.
All right. So as usual, he was breathing all on and on about planting for food and jobs. And which one should we start with first? Planting for food and jobs.
Okay. Maybe she's a beneficiary.
Let's go with planting for food and jobs.
No, my citrus farm is stuck in Efutu. If you can tell coastal developments to start thinking about what to do with the citrus farmers in that area, then I'll probably appreciate your planting for food and jobs.
I would encourage you to speak to the ministry to get a factory under the PPI so that you can.
The way it's going to work, Amma, is she will talk.
Okay, then
and
after
finish her point, then you will write your responses.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let's take rice value chain.
Okay,
we've spoken a lot about rice value chain, and the strategy is that by 2023, I believe, we're going to cut down on the importation of rice. According to their own statistics, as at 2019, we had done 790,000 plus processed rice. We had also done 800,000 metric tons of imports.
Okay.
So local production is now at par with import. At what point are we going to cut down on the importation so that the local production can assess the market fully.
Okay.
What programs are we putting in place to make sure that 2013 is achievable?
Okay. She's going to respond when you're done. What else?
NABCO. I agree that, one, unemployment is an issue in Ghana. It's at 6%, 6.7% under their watch. Under the NDC, unemployment was 6.3%.
Okay.
So NABCO, which is just another renaming of what should have been an aspect of the Youth Employment Agency, they just put it out and made it a flagship.
Okay.
So 100,000 graduates who need work experience, because the job market, when you go out there, everybody wants some work experience. So to have a system or any project that gives people that opportunity, I think
it's a good initiative.
It's a good initiative. However, we all know that there's just been a lot of pomp and pageantry with that one also.
Okay. There's
an issue of productivity from the beneficiaries of NABCO. I mean, how do you measure productivity from NABCO, whatever?
Free SHS.
Free SHS. Now, jumping back to planting for food and jobs. Maize. Apparently, they said that we are self-sufficient in maize production.
Yes, we didn't import maize last year, according to MPP.
That's what they said.
Yeah.
Is there data to support it?
I think there was some data to support it.
Yes, the Ministry of Food and Agriculture.
So what did the Nigerians give us?
Amma will respond when you're done.
In 2013, 2014, this is not the first time that Ghana has produced excessive maize. In fact, in actual fact, in 2013, 2014, 2015, Ghana was supporting the World Food Programme with maize.
Okay.
And yes, we were also exporting maize.
Okay.
Ambulances.
28th January.
Now my favorite topic.
Of course it will be.
Last time I came here, you asked me a question I was found wanting, so I went to do my research. In 2009, when the NDC took office, we had 69 trained EMTs, 9 ambulances, which were operational in 7 fire service, because if you know the beginning of the ambulance service, their history, they were a partnership between Ministry of Health and Ministry of Interior. So that's what created them. Now, by 2014, under the NDC government, we had expanded the Ghana ambulance service with the delivery of 199 ambulances, stationed at 128 stations, operated by 1,651 EMTs with 47 administrative staffs. From 2004, the National Ambulance Service had 9% national coverage. As at 2008, it had gone to 34% national coverage. We extended it to 81% national coverage.
Okay.
Healthcare transfers.
But government is a continuum, so if you've gone that far and they're also continuing, it's a good thing, no?
It is, but no, they keep saying that we did nothing in the ambulance service, so I'm reminding them. Healthcare transfers grew from 43% in 2004 to 80% in 2014.
Which data are you, what's the source?
I'll send it to you. This is a report written by the current chief executive of the ambulance. He did a paper on it. I'll send it to you and then you can read it. So roadside responses grew from 10% in 2004 to 57% in 2014. We established the emergency training school in Offenso as part of that project.
Okay, so I need to speed you up because this is still the MPP resource fair.
That's
so
the
maybe
results we are
NDC
giving.
should do their resource fair.
No, we are giving the results. By 2015, we were expecting another 200 ambulances. The first consignment of the 30 came. That's the one that they say are not fit for purpose because you see, no ambulance comes here. Exactly. And that's the same challenge they have with the ambulances. But they don't want to tell the people of Ghana the truth. And they keep shifting.
Okay.
Subsequently, from 2016, they refused to allow that contract to operate to be fulfilled. So those consignments were not allowed to come into Ghana. So
we'll find out the results of that on the 28th. Anything about one village, one dam, and one district, one factory, then I'll allow.
Yeah, so they shouldn't make it like we ran down the ambulance service and we did nothing for the ambulance service. All right. Or should I continue with the health sector?
No, we're done now. So I'll allow Amma respond. We'll move on to the final topic.
I'm
sure.
Let's give her 1 minute. Okay.
In your manifesto, you promised the people of Ghana that we are going to have promote double-digit growth. You promised the people of Ghana double-digit growth.
Okay. So you want to know
2016,
about that
since you came into power, you've actually been doing 7%, 7%, 7.6, 7.4, 7. Sometimes it goes even at 6. What happened to the double-digit growth?
So now I will give Amma a chance to respond to every point she has made.
Okay, she started with citrus farmers.
And then we'll move on to the final topic.
That's not matter.
No, I'm just talking about farming.
You'll respond and then we'll
are talking about farms and
planting for food and jobs and the like.
Planting for food and jobs and outgrowers. Yeah. People, I mean, if you're a farmer and you grow stuff and it's not being bought or you can't sell them to make your profit, it's a worrying phenomenon. Yes. We know Central Region has a lot of farms for fruits, especially fruits. Yes. And then they have in the Ewutu area, they have the cassava as well. One of the major policies that the MPP party at that time said was that in partnership with private sector, we are going to develop, or we are going to help private people to bring out one district, one factory. Now, if you are in an area or if you are in a position to build a factory in a particular area where there's an abundance of a raw material, I would kindly advise you to go to the 1D1F Secretariat. They have support structures there that you can go on. With regards to coastal development, I'm sure Jerry and Kingsley are watching and they would come in and give you all the needed support. I'm confident about that. When you come to ambulances, I'll speak to ambulances. I don't think anyone has stood anywhere to say that any government that has come in has not done something in a particular sector. All successive governments or all previous governments have made an effort in a sector.
So you agree?
We only hope to improve on it. With these ambulances that they brought in, she said it was stopped. It was detected as many as 18 defects in them. And the recommendation was that they should be used as passenger vehicles. That was the recommendations. Who would want to use the same company that has brought in 30 and has all these things and say, oh, well, even though you brought in the 30,
Gabriella, it's not your turn yet. It's not your turn. Go ahead.
Why would? Because there was a recommendation that if you, it is not fit for the purpose that it's brought in.
Then why pay for it? Rejects the whole thing.
Okay. And then you would come back and say that, oh, we have judgment day. But I would like to reiterate the point.
We do have to read the messages from our viewers. So AU Farouk from Tamale constituency says, good morning. It is sad how people with families lost their jobs through the collapse of banks by this government. December 7th is not far from anyone. Okay, that's coming from AU Farouk from Tamale. Good morning. Watching live from Nkwanta South in Oti region. My name is Masawudu Hamza. It's a good move by sending people concerned about this banking sector issue to court. The court should hurry up and prosecute them. Musa in Kumasi says, I'm not surprised to hear 53 investment companies in sense have been revoked because, license have been revoked because the government has vowed to collapse financial institutions who are not in their good book. I don't think that's necessarily what happened. These guys were doing really, terrible things and they are being held accountable. But again, all of this is alleged. They are all innocent until proven guilty and will be following it. Good morning, Citi TV. I love your TV station. You are the only media house. Okay. Thank you. May God bless you. God bless you too. Good morning. Watching live from Oti region. Okay, I've read that one already. And of course, this is Al Hassan Dramani, the one that was giving us all the accolades. Thank you so much, Al Hassan. And of course, we'll take a look at our final story and then close this news review segment. Arrested unemployed teachers to be arraigned on 15th January, that's today. 19 graduate teachers trainees who were arrested on Monday, 13th January 2020 for unlawful picketing at the Ghana Education Service headquarters will be arraigned on Wednesday, 15th January 2020. The graduate teacher trainees from 2016, 2017, 2018 batches of various colleges of education were at GES headquarters to demand posting. And of course, some of the officials said they were there illegally and they were arrested. So I'm going to quote what the General Secretary of the Ghana National Association of Teachers said. That's Thomas Musa. He says, what I heard them say is they were charged with unlawful assembly, and I told the police that I will be there tomorrow where we will discuss things in detail. We will provide them with lawyers. Our lawyers will go and speak to them and handle the case for us. So, Amma, on this whole teachers protesting,
this was your last one, but on the sheet we had the unfortunate tragic accident. So I'll speak about that. It's one major thing that I heard you say earlier that I wanted to talk about.
Okay.
When these things happen, are people held responsible? Unfortunately, in this particular instance, from the reports that we had, both drivers lost their lives. Over speeding on our roads, we'll kindly appeal to drivers, because we are all passengers day in and day out, be it in our own private cars, and one person's a second's mistake can cause a whole... I mean, there was a 7-month-old baby. The baby had not even started life. Yeah. So I would like to express my condolences to the families and to the victims in hospital. I wish all of them a speedy recovery. Okay. And please, our drivers, it's not just during festive periods. Every single day that you go on the road, kindly be careful, because we cannot afford to lose lives just like that. It is just a waste that should not happen. Okay. So that's my 1 cent. I heard you say that they'd had unlawful picketing, and Mr. Musa said he'd spoken to their lawyers. Unemployment, it was one of the things that we are talking about. Yes, we appreciate the fact that you finished school or you finished training college and you haven't been posted yet. There are processes and there are procedures. Before even the Ghana Education Service can employ you, they first need clearance from the Ministry of Finance. Yeah. Imagine if you've been given a letter that you can start work. You go and work for 4 months and you haven't been paid. It's cost 90. Yeah. They need to put all these measures in place. Sometimes bureaucracy takes a lot of time. We are all hoping to cut down on bureaucracy here and there. But these are systems that are there that need to be followed. So I know that you would definitely be employed, and it is always easier said than done saying you'll be employed. It is frustrating sitting at home not doing anything and not knowing when you are going to get some employment. But there are also avenues that you can use. You have a mother body, that's NATS or NAGRAT or all these places that you can channel through. And if really there's a need for picketing, there are structures to be followed. You need a police permit.
I do have to cut you off now and move on to
it's a dicey situation. Would also appeal with them to exercise patience. And I know that the law has to take its course, but we are hopeful that it will come to a logical conclusion.
I think it was totally unfair that they arranged them for court. I actually was there at the police because I had to see a friend there. What happened to them was they received text messages to report to Ministry of Education. Whilst there, they were told that what they were doing there was illegal. Then the police just came and swooped them to Central Police Station where they were
arranged. But the text messages can be tracked.
It's fine.
Not. They were there from morning till evening. By afternoon, then this deputy youth organizer was one had to go and organize food for them. They had to bring NAT, officials from NAT, to post their bill. We had to go and plead with the police to let them go home before they process that they'll go to court today. If they hadn't been sent text messages, what would they have gone there for? And they also didn't know that it's what they were describing as picketing, and it was an illegality. They didn't see it as that.
But
they just saw that.
Ignorance of the law is no excuse.
It's not.
So it applies to the teachers as well.
It applies to the teachers as well. But then when you give them a text message inviting them,
it looks like you're luring them there.
Who did?
It was on their phones. They were showing the text message.
Nobody is from GS. Who gave them?
Let me quote what they said. You gave us a text message to come, but you claimed the text messages was not from you. Meanwhile, all indications point to the fact that it is from you. You call for the police to come and arrest us. Now, our leaders are being charged to go to court. We just want to say that we have not ended this. So I think this was directed to GES. They're saying GES texted them, they came, and now the police has taken them off.
Dziffa, so I think that the onus also lies on GES to also come out to prove that the text messages were from or not from them, so that they can have their case in court.
Is a government communications team member, and Gabriella Tetteh is a national communications team member of the NDC. It's so good to see you both. I wish you a lovely week, and I hope to see you next week. Same goes for you too, Amma.
Thank you.
We hope you've enjoyed the show. Make sure you subscribe, like, comment, and share with your friends. This is Breakfast Daily on Citi TV.
Join the Breakfast Daily team Monday through Fridays from 7:30 a.m. to 10. Join us for breakfast daily, only on Citi TV.